Per usual, everyone, this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. It is Tuesday. Let's take a look at the trade journal. Took a wallop, took a beating today, largely in part due to the uncertainty around what's going on with Greenland, global yields rising, geopolitical tomfoolery across the board. We'll start with BTC, but my biggest takeaway here is honestly these trades that I have closed, that we opened, we being me, and most of these have been stopped out. One thing I've noticed is, okay, patterns aren't working, which is fine. That's TA. Welcome to TA. But pay attention to your stop loss levels. They are real. They are very real. If we pull up some of these, like DKNG or DRPRY, this stop loss makes sense. Still makes sense. Even if it bounces here, it makes sense. DKNG is another one. Could have done a lot worse if I hadn't paid attention to the stop loss. Now, because of my trading style, I do accept a higher level of volatility. I do accept a higher level of up and down, effectively. But breaking down below a stop loss would not be advantageous to my trading style. So if you've got a stop loss, stick to it. And it's a good idea to have a just reasonable stop loss at any level that makes sense. It's not too difficult pre-breakout. So most of these, didn't go anywhere. What about FDS? Let's take a look. That's another one, right? Now these patterns can look amazing and just go nowhere. DKNG looked great. One of the better charts, went nowhere. mRNA, on the other hand, just looked somewhat okay. Didn't look like anything too crazy to me. Looked good enough to take a trade on, to be clear. But here we are, right? Why did mRNA survive and the others did not? Couldn't exactly tell you, but that's where the trading part comes in. That's why you need your winners to pay for your losers. And ideally, you take a trade when you think you have a decent leg up on whatever the bias might be, pre-breakout or trend, and you go from there. So kind of just is what it is. The same thing with UUU or whatever energy name you want to think about. Then you can say, well, that's just where the world is right now. We're all focused on precious metals and energy and uranium. That's fair. That's fair for sure. And you could say, well, these consumer discretionary names were never going to work, right? You could say, well, crypto is never going to work because it's not a risk-on environment. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just, I can't not take that trade when I see this spot BTC or Metaplanet. I think the only other trade real quick that's in trouble besides the Solana trade would be Tesla, because it is in the daily cloud here. You could argue that the cup and handle's at risk. I think the bigger issue is just Mag 7 in general is not where you want to be here. This is Mag 7 on the daily all the way through the cloud at this point, and it had been setting up as a head and shoulders, and that is a brutal down day through the cloud. So to me, out of all of the Mag 7, do you want to be long any of them? Probably not in the short term. These all look pretty terrible. Even NVIDIA, I'm sure, has head and shoulders risk. Yeah, I mean, this doesn't look any better today. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to be super long anything risk at the moment. I mean, all of this stuff could pull up. All of this stuff could just be like a right shoulder, right? Here's Solana. Solana took a beating for the past couple days. This is technically still in the range. Technically, it's ugly, but it still could be an inverted head and shoulders easily. Do I want to add down here? I don't personally want to add down here. But am I going to stop myself out? Not yet. Now, a decent stop loss level would have been 132. We busted through that today. The bigger problem is stuff like this that I'm in, like Sol T, right? Now, this is down 25% on the day. Now, ideally, you're not 100% Sol T. What was my position sizing here? Let me just check. It's 6,000. All right. A bit rich, but again, if I'm pre-breakout, I'm feeling it, right? I'm feeling it, and I'm going to take that chance. So what I did today was I did reduce the IBIT options by half. We'll see if that proves to be intelligent or not. But I generally like to take some acknowledgement of, yeah, I took a beating and I need to reduce something somewhere because I don't want to zero out a position. So this could still be a head and shoulders, but that's where it gets dangerous, where you're like, this is still a possibility, right? Now, if we come back tomorrow and it's down again, then I think you got to be real with yourself and myself and say, all right, the dream is dead for now. The dream is dead for now. You're already getting fall dragged and fee dragged, all sorts of dragged down here. So it kind of just is what it is. And I don't expect the Greenland stuff to be resolved overnight. The biggest issue is, of course, on spot BTC, because when spot BTC has a negative 3% down day through the cloud, none of this stuff is good. So I think yesterday or the day before, someone said, hey, what do you think about this long trade on BTC? Because it closed below the daily cloud after being in the cloud. Always a bad sign. Now, legacy markets were closed, so I couldn't do anything anyway. I could have closed the options at the beginning of the market when the market opened. I didn't do that, and we suffer through it some more. So all in all, not great, right? Still technically in the pattern, but any new lower lows and doesn't get any better. And hey, that's trading, folks, right? Just like it was up here. That's trading. This again was a great breakout that went nowhere. So you want to save yourself from this, right? You want to save yourself from this leg if you get it. I think it's okay to be in the trade up to a point here, but you're not doing yourself any favors anytime this closes back out of the cloud. Now, if you get a bearish TK cross here within the next couple days, definitely got to think about moving your feet, in my opinion, not financial advice. But as people were chirping at me on Twitter about ETH, they're getting extra long because I said the COT data was bearish. Well, here we are. Same story. So it doesn't appear as though anything is necessarily safe at this point. Easy to say on a down day. I don't buy down days as a rule, especially like this, unless there's some reason to do so. What does MSTR look like today? Yeah, same deal. Like this still could be something. It just doesn't quite look like it's going to be something. Metaplanet's still in the cloud, so I don't hate it. Here, it's tough. It's real tough when BTC is teetering, and even XMR. I'm never going to close this at 650 or 750. I never would. So it just is what it is. If this gives everything back, so be it. But I'm still in this trade. I wouldn't close this at this point until like 350. We'll put an alert there. 360. Just gonna let it be. Now you could say, well, there was some nefarious blah 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 with some darknet market stuff, and that's why it popped up because there was a hack. Okay, maybe. Not gonna say it wrong, but I'm still gonna give this some time. And we didn't even get a daily fractal yet. That's how fast this has fallen down. Now you could save yourself even more and just say, you know what, I'm gonna make a stop loss at break even and call it a day, and maybe revisit this at some other time. That's probably also acceptable. But other than that, what are you long here? I like energy names. I like energy in general. XLE is probably perking up, trying to perk up, but not a lot of places to hide. Equity's down today. Bonds down today. Dollar was down today, I think, as well. Just lots of anger out there. So let's see what the rest of the week brings. Pengu as well. We'll take a look at that real quick. Pengu, still probably setting up based on how it looked the other day. But again, this is why you do not throw a bunch of money at stuff pre-breakout, or you don't throw your entire account at this stuff. This is an ugly, ugly move. And this is always the risk with alts that are way, 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 way down the stack, right? And again, you could say to yourself, theoretically, this is intact. Not going to say you're wrong, but if BTC's down 3, Pengu's going to be down 6, or whatever alt down the stack. So I'd be very, very careful doing anything with alts right now. And you can let me know in the comments, because I'm sure somebody's going to find the one that's up a random percent today. But my whole list is completely carved out today. Even IREN down 6%, but that chart looks fine. All of the Mag 7 down today. AMD and ARM barely green today, but everything for the most part. And the 10-year yield also a problem. If this breaks out, we're all in trouble. To a point where it just has to break out even more, above 450, and maybe we're not in trouble anymore because they start buying our bonds instead. Yield curve control. Just ugly all around. That's all I got for this one. Give me a like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.